Hello FleetReadyFam. Trying this for a second time. We had a little hiccup there just a moment ago. But welcome to the channel and welcome to the video. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different on the channel. We're going to be reacting to a set of videos that have been showing up on my feed that looked interesting. And I thought we could have some laughs and have a good time tonight. If this is your first time to the channel, hello, welcome. My name is Sivad and I am the host. Usually our channel is live streams of Star Citizen and other video games that we play within our community. But today I thought we would try something a little bit different as we are testing some new streaming software that I thought would be kind of a more chill, relaxed night tonight. So without much further ado, let's go ahead and get into the videos. Go ahead and get this set up here. Alright, there we go. So, without much more to do, let's go with our first video. This video is from one of my favorite channels called DevilArtemis. You may know him from playing the character Cell in Team 4-Star. He has his own channel that he runs off DevilArtemis that kind of continues the gag that Team 4-Star ran with the whole, Tournament of Power saga that Cell ran, where he would face random characters from parallel anime universes or even video game universes. And he's been doing it for a long time. I've been following for a number of years now, and his content is hilarious, top-notch humor. And this is one of his more recent videos called Cooler versus Escanor. And yeah, let's get into it.
I don't see it.
It's just an opinion.
There's no way this guy is cooler than me.
I mean, it's debatable.
He's wearing green tights.
It's debatable.
So, what's wrong with green?
Well,
Yeah, seriously.
Nothing's wrong with green. It's just not as cool as purple. Purple is for pussies. Say that to my face. Purple
Shit.
is for pussies.
Fucking told.
This is bullshit! Name one thing he has that makes him cooler than me. Lion tattoo. Oh, that's respectable at best. I can destroy planets.
Well, I mean, he has a boomerang axe. That's pretty cool.
Who gives a
Boomerangs
shit
are cool.
about a boomerang axe when you can hold the power of the sun in your hands?
Oof. Yeah, it is awkward.
What's up?
Oh shit, son.
Okay, that's completely unoriginal. I am the guy who launches suns at people. Who decided that? What is that? Is that music? He has his own theme song and catchphrase?
Told you he's cool.
But I'm... I'm the coolest in the universe.
So that's one of the things I absolutely love about DevilArtemis videos, is that they're short, sweet, and to the point. They're usually no longer than 2 minutes. I think, between 2 to 3 minutes long. Classic. Alright, our next video is one from a channel called, let me pull it up here, HamelsRuler. It is a Star Citizen machinima called Beyond Reach, Episode 1. Came out a couple days ago. Haven't heard or seen anything on it, but I thought it looked interesting, so let's go give our support to them. Speaking of support, all the videos that we're watching tonight, the links to them are in the description below, so please go watch the original link as well to give them some actual support and love. And let's get to it. got some buffering going on. Well, give that a second to figure itself out there. Okay.
So, what are we dealing with this time?
The latest intel we have on the situation was a distress beacon mentioned one of our VIP tags. We're coming up to the vessel now. Don't open the hatch. Take a look.
I love what people can do with Star Citizen. It's fascinating.
Well, that's on some shit better days. What the hell happened there? Pirates?
No, not pirates. Debris from the ship was found trailed in Aberdeen. As you know, the town has been abandoned for centuries. I highly doubt any pirates are living down there. As for the current sector, well, securities have their regular patrols.
I see. Have your scanners picked up anything inside?
No, scanners aren't picking up much. The lower deck appears must be fine, but the upper deck seems to be completely covered in radiation. I can't get up operating. It's surgery as an automata. It'll keep you safe from the radiation. The task is simple. Get in, get to the crew quarters, and collect the captain's data log. And from there, set charges to the main engine. Corporation doesn't want any evidence left behind.
Understood. Let's get to it.
Some first person. Nice.
Listen up, if you want a confirmation check on the X-85, it should be located on the opposite end of the cargo deck. Send me the tech data over now.
Alright. It is received. Begin the search now.
Interesting.
I've got eyes on the ship. The tags match up.
Perfect. Make your way up to the upper deck from there. The commentary can say we're a lot of interference to the radiation, so keep your wits about you.
Understood. Make my way there now.
Nice use of the external camera to give the aspect of a CCTV.
Radiation levels increased. Caution advised. Radiation source detected.
Novak, do you read me? The source of the radiation is coming straight from the Singularity engine. It won't hold together much longer, and neither will this suit.
Come again?
Novak, do you read me? The signal should be a lot clearer now.
Loud and clear. What's the situation?
I found the captain's documents, along with the vessel's recorded data. Something's not right here.
What did you find?
The ship's Singularity engine is an experimental one.
halos.
It has the domain codes for its failure. They were experimenting with a lab-made element named U-229. It's the same one found in the infestation outbreak in Aberdeen.
I'm quite unfamiliar about that event.
The patients that managed to survive from that outbreak suffered excessive hallucinations and abdominal body growth.
It's quite defined.
This information is critical. We have to get it back to corporate and have them put a stop to these Crusader ships before it gets out of hand.
Agreed. Finish up and then head back down. I'll be waiting.
Yeah, really nice use of camera work. I'd love to make a machinima with Star Citizen someday.
Intonation device armed. Beginning countdown.
Bombs implanted. We're making our way to you now. I'm not alone. Suffolk House is on board with me. Contact. Firing. I found your captain. Or what remains of him.
Moving real hard. Time to argue. Over.
Fuck.
Radiation levels increased. Chute integrity decreasing.
This damn machine. I could redo with an exit right about now.
I'm looking right now. Just give me a moment.
Radiation levels critical. Immediate action required.
I love it.
Data transfer complete.
The rules of nature only serve the strongest. It's the weak among us that serve their bodies as fuel to move the beast.
Betrayal. Curious if this was filmed on which version of the PT, or this was the P or the PTU, 317.4 or 318. Thought I recognized some of those other songs.
The Avatar is the...
Alright, before we get into the next video, so that one was interesting. That was some... Gather my thoughts here for a second. I enjoyed the camera work of that. It's always fun watching a Star Citizen machinima and seeing how people will use the tools given in the sandbox nature of the game to create an envisioned product. And that was good. I enjoyed it. I'm interested to see what episode 2 would be like. So, on to our third video for the night. This video is from Nuxanor. He is a reviewer of anime, shows, movies, lots of different things. Let's see, he has 627,000 subscribers. Don't watch them all too much, but I've seen a couple videos. And tonight I saw that one popped up that looked interesting. I'm a big Avatar: The Last Airbender fan. And videos titled How Avatar Perfected the Chosen One Trope. So let's go ahead and get into it and see what they say.
The Avatar is the coolest example for a Chosen One character because it's fundamentally overpowered. Someone that could use all 4 elements is fundamentally broken in a world where the strongest possible magic user can only use 1 element. The obvious problem with a Chosen One character who has some incredible reason to be overpowered is, well, they're overpowered. They could just steamroll any obstacle that comes their way. I always have a...
Sorry, pause for a second there. Just wanted to mention in the comments for this question, but do anyone else always find Avatar-based personas to be very interesting? What's your take on them? Go ahead and leave a comment down below. I always find it hilarious how a lot of the times they have to over-exaggerate their movements to have them show up on camera. Just an observation. Let me know what you think.
A hard time when it comes to the Chosen One overpowered characters because more often than not, they're overpowered done wrong. And it's annoying. Avatar, on the other hand, does fall into that Chosen One character trope, but they definitely are overpowered and worthy of that trope, but it's done completely right. In this video, I am going to talk about why. This video isn't going to be honing in on Aang as a character. I might do an OP done right on Aang specifically, or a no one understands on Aang specifically. But this video is on the concept of the Avatar, from Avatar: The Last Airbender / The Legend of Korra, mostly focusing on Avatar because it is the superior of the 2 IPs. And the reason why I decided to make this video today is because I recently made an overpowered done right video on Toph, and I got a lot of good feedback. A lot of people wanted more Avatar content, so... I'm ready. Chosen One trope. Done right. Now, before explaining how well it's done in Avatar, I have to first express to you how hard it is to get right. The Chosen One trope is extremely difficult, whether you're talking about Harry Potter or you're talking about Naruto. No one likes watching a main character finally win, overcoming his trials and tribulations that he's gone through his entire life through bullshit memes. In the early Naruto had a whole fight with Neji, arguing about how hard work ends up beating out unnatural talent. That was one of the major themes when it comes to the Chunin exam arc in Naruto. And I'm not going to spoil much here. I'm just going to let you know that Naruto ended up beating Neji because of his Chosen One power. He managed to unlock the crazy 9-tail power inside him, and that was what ended up managing to defeat Neji, completely cucking the entire character arc of hard work versus natural talent that goes so deep in the Naruto saga. This is an example, in my humble opinion, of overpowered done wrong. This is Chosen One done wrong. This isn't to say that the entirety of the Naruto series is bad or that Naruto as a main character is bad. That's really not the point of the statement. I'm just explaining to you an example of a fight where it's because of his Chosen One aspects that he actually managed to become overpowered and overpower his opponent, and you're like, well, you know, that kind of goes against the entire theme that he was building up here. He's supposed to be carrying the torch of Lee, that hard work will overcome natural talent, and the show keeps trying to promote that that's the fact.
Everyone
and
enjoys
an
underdog
who kind of
overcomes their
Now, this video isn't about Chosen Ones
stripes
per
and
se, so I'm not
tribulations.
actually going to spend the next half an hour giving you examples of Chosen Ones done wrong and done right, maybe in the future, I don't know, whatever you want. I just feel like it's really important to highlight how the Chosen One archetype can go so wrong when it's making an overpowered character, so that I can highlight how Avatar did it so right. When looking at the power system in Avatar, you have have your 4 nations, alright? You got your Fire Nation, your Earth Nation, your Water Nation, and your Air Nation, alright? They each have control over that specific element, at least the benders of that nation do, which makes every bender inherently way stronger than any foot soldier that doesn't have bending abilities. And then there's the Avatar. This dude is born with affinity to control all 4 elements. This dude can control fire, water, air, and earth, making him incredibly powerful. And someone so powerful, he can change the entire balance of the Force. We're all familiar with the meme that everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked and they were causing this whole massive catastrophe and war thing. If there would have been an Avatar around at that point, this wouldn't have happened. The Avatar would have just been like, no, balance to the Force, and wiped out the opposing forces. No one would have even started a war. That's how hyped up and terrifying the power of the Avatar is. The Avatar selection is spiritual by nature. It's some sort of reincarnation type device, and I do want to talk about the supernatural elements of the Avatar world in a future video that I will make after rewatching the entire Avatar series, but it works on this cycle that every single generation there is a new Avatar born to a different nation, and it alternates between the 4 nations in this reincarnation method. The reason why the Fire Nation actually declared war at the beginning of the Avatar series is because the Avatar, who was an airbender, was stuck in an iceberg for 100 years, essentially halting the Avatar cycle. So now we already know that this chosen one, whoever he is, in whatever generation it is, this chosen one's gonna be a badass. His existence alone is terrifying enough that it'll stop wars and start diarrhea. And they do a really good job highlighting this in like the 2nd episode of Avatar when Aang is fighting Zuko. You know, you got some air bending versus some fire bending. It's pretty evenly matched, I suppose, and Aang actually gets knocked off the boat into the water. This would be a KO when it comes to an airbender, but since Aang can also control the water with water bending, he manages to come out of the water with a tidal wave and wipe out the Fire Nation guys that were attacking him. This is just a really simple example to show you how broken it is to actually control 2 abilities. You control 2 abilities, everything is now your strength, and you have no weaknesses. So I really like the idea that they established that the ability to control multiple elements is really broken really early on. They established that this is a chosen one character, he's going to be overpowered, and his existence alone is strong enough to stop the war. But that doesn't answer the question. How does this make an overpowered character actually not just steamroll everyone? I mean, he just beat this prince dude like easy peasy lemon squeezy, no problemo. And yes, he does run into struggles in the different episodes of the series as it goes on, but it doesn't actually explain how this dude can ever lose. His arch enemy is this guy, Fire.
I mean, I kind of have to disagree right there. It establishes fairly early on that Aang has no ability to control the Avatar state, and in fact that is mentioned multiple times. And yeah, I mean, I know you're probably going to get there, but
Lord Ozai, the head of the Fire Nation and a really strong firebender. But by the time Aang eventually fights him, this dude's gonna control all 4 elements, and there's no way this guy will stand a ghost of a chance. This was a fear I had going through the Avatar story, and I knew it would be some sort of crazy Aang needing to psych himself up for it, but I'm just a kid, and I'm scared, and I don't want to kill somebody. I'm not gonna actually kill anybody, and I was worried it would be Aang versus himself versus Ozai, instead of Aang versus Ozai, this oppressive tyrant. The good news is, all my fears were assuaged, and more, because the Avatar power system is freakingly well balanced. They made it really clear to establish as the series keeps going and as the top echelon of benders from the different nations are introduced, that it's true that Aang can master the bending power.
This whole scene that they're showing here from Avatar Korra, personal opinion, but I feel they did Aang dirty with how he ends up dying behind the scenes in the show. I mean, you don't really see it except for this and from lore that the characters tell us in Korra, but yeah, they did Aang dirty.
Powers of all 4 elements. That doesn't mean Aang will become an S-tier bender in every single style. This was established really early on, and I really appreciate it. As we keep going, we start to learn that there is so much nuance that a true master of a specific art can have. And even the Avatar, someone who is A-tier in every style and every bending ability, there will always be that outlier. S-tier in his actual specialty. We see Toph, a very powerful earthbender, bend metal. she develops metal bending, and that's something we've never seen an avatar actually do. This is an echelon of earth bending that is out the reach of the avatar, and that makes Toph, in some ways, stronger than...
Not necessarily, because, and I'll give you a pass because you said you haven't watched the show, and this is me saying I'm giving you a pass. Oh, okay. Toph teaches Aang how to use metal bending. So yes, while Toph may have been the first person to have learned how to and how quickly to have mastered it, Aang is seen throughout the final season using metal bending to get around and fighting.
The Avatar himself. The Avatar cannot surpass that level of earth bending. We've seen people like Iroh and others shoot lightning once truly mastering firebending. And even once an Avatar, a true master of all the elements, they didn't reach that stage where they can actually produce lightning per se. That, again, is a step above the Avatar. And as we see water bending all over, well, did you know that 70% of humans' body is water? And some crazy strong waterbenders can actually learn blood bending and control people's motions and motor faculties. And that, again, is something so horrifying and so terrifying in the possession of waterbenders that Aang, again, did
that
never
episode was truly something above the above when it first aired.
In like basically
watching it
single
in high
combat,
school.
and that's after Aang mastered all the freaking elements. I'm not saying that Aang is weaker. I'm not saying that the Avatar is weaker than these people that have these distinct abilities, but it's not like all bases are covered with just Aang. I'm going to give you really basic Pokemon stats as an analogy, kind of what I'm talking about. You got Mew, the ancestor of Pokemon with base stats of 600, 100 in every single stat. Mew is a well-rounded gamer. Then you got Charizard, whose total stats are only 534. Charizard is not as strong as Mew. He has less stats by a large margin. However, Charizard is 109 special attack. When it comes to being a special attacker, Charizard outclasses Mew. I think the Chosen One trope when it comes to the Avatar is really, really done well. Because despite being the Chosen One, it's not like he'll be better in every area than everyone else. It's someone that even at full power has the ability to be overpowered and has the necessity to ally up with people that
Of
can help
course,
him on
yes.
his journey. Avatar is
I do
chosen.
agree with that.
Chosen by fate, chosen in whatever way you want, incredible affinity to become the top 1% of fighters in the realm. The Avatar alone can change the balance of the Force, but that's only if that balance is an equal scale. The Avatar can't take out an entire opposing nation. At the end of the day, the Avatar is just one man that needs to make his bonds, needs to forge his friendships, and needs to overcome his hurdles just like everyone else. Again, this is not an overpowered analysis on Aang. Aang himself had his own journey and traumatic backstory and needing to venture from one place to the other place to master all the elements and stuff. He has a different story. He's a character. I'm not discussing a character. I'm discussing a concept. And the Avatar concept is not only a Chosen One trait done right, but it is an overpowered trait done really well too. Overpowered enough to be feared and make a huge difference, but not too overpowered that it makes every other power and fighter futile in its presence. It hurts me that when we get to the end of so many Chosen One story finales, every other character aside from the Chosen One is essentially completely useless. I used Naruto as my example before, so I'll use Naruto again. Once we get to the end of Naruto, there's only like 3 other characters that are even remotely useful. Naruto farts and blows up a mountain. You're not going to see Tenten running around throwing kunai anymore. But even at the end of Avatar: The Last Airbender, I could name you so many characters that are pivotal to the final climactic battle and that are in the same league as our boy Aang. Katara, Toph, Bumi, Azula, Zuko, Ozai, my man Iroh, who I will simp for eternity. The show didn't need to artificially inflate their power levels to kind of remain in the same territory as everyone else, like they do in so many stories. Every new Dragon Ball arc, Goku gets even stronger, and they have to make all the side characters somehow magically remain in the same relevancy realm as him. It's like, no, Krillin is nowhere near as strong as Goku is right now. Just cut him out. Let's not artificially inflate him to make believe he's useful all of a sudden. Avatar didn't have to do that. Avatar had a very, very well-established power system in place that kept throughout with the Avatar himself in its center as a Chosen One trait done right and an overpowered archetype done tremendously well. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed future overpowered analysis.
Alright. I definitely agreed with most of that, and especially since, the video concept is about the avatar as a subject versus the individual. Yeah, definitely. I definitely agreed with a lot of those points, but yeah, we'll go ahead and give that a like. So, our final video for the night is from one of my favorite Star Citizen content creators here on YouTube, the only DG360. Today we're going to be watching his most recent video that came out today. DG reacts to elevators in Star Citizen and why CIG chose not to fix them. This is going to be our long video for the night. And I thought it would be fun doing a reaction of a reaction. And yeah, let's get into it. But before we do that, I'm going to crack open a nice alcoholic drink to really set in the mood. And let's get started. Community.
This is great from one of our own fans here. His name is AetherDrift. He says, well, this is a disappointing video. His attitude is lazy and believes that the design philosophy which is driving the innovation of the game should be compromised because the bugs are annoying. What a shame. His videos are usually so good. Never mind. Not everybody gets it, I suppose. And this is what AetherDrift has to say to a dead leader video, which I actually like this dude. This dude makes really cool content. So I'm really curious what I'm going to think about this. Let's watch this. AetherDrift posted this in our Discord. Is that you, Kiss? Okay, cool, dude. And let's see what Dead Leader has to say about elevators in Star Citizen and why SIG choose not to fix them. Okay, let's check it out. That's a good intro, though.
That is.
Played
That's a good
Star
intro.
Citizen before.
Yes.
You're aware of the fact that you're going to encounter bugs and things that don't work right. But one thing has been so consistently buggy that it's now more than anything considered to be more of a rite of passage than a bug that's to be patched.
True
and
that.
of course, talking about elevators. Other than being forms of travel, are known to be instant death machines, break down entirely, even more than real elevators, can lock you inside of them and eventually starve you to death, can open mid-transport, leading you to, well, death once again, can lack all solid matter, ejecting you through the floor, or sometimes even be portals to pocket dimensions where you can spend your entire life in an existential limbo. They are without a doubt the most persistently buggy things in Star Citizen, responsible for ruining countless gameplay sessions and causing immeasurable rage quits.
He sounds like
But
he's getting emotional.
how would you feel if I told you
understand
that they could have been fixed long ago? Heck, they could probably be fixed today if CIG were so inclined to do so. But the reason why they haven't was purely because of ego. I'm Dead Leader, and I hate to have to do this, but they were talking about elevators. Now, to fully explain why things are the way they are with elevators at the moment, I have to first explain the biggest difference between Star Citizen and many other space sim games, and one of its largest selling points is that it's a fully physicalized game that you can travel throughout without any loading screens breaking up the flow of gameplay. For example, you see a store, you walk up to it, the door opens, and the store is already loaded and ready to interact with. Or you walk up to your ship, open the door, enter your ship. These are examples of small interactions that have been made seamless by having all the assets loaded persistently even before you've entered the space, since it was preloaded. A quick example of what this would be like in a lot of other games previously, like for instance Fallout or Oblivion, in those games we'd walk up to a door, select enter, then you would have a black loading screen where that instance of the store would load and the outside world that you just came from would be unloaded to save memory. But Star Citizen is an accomplishment where it takes a step further, where it's not just these small instances that are seamless, It extends to the degree that if you're out in space and you spot some mountain on a planet from orbit you've never seen before, you can go directly to that mountain, get out of your ship, and do space stuff on it, all without ever stopping the gameplay experience. And it's this game design philosophy that CIG brings to every game mechanic, both small and large, that sets them apart from other developers who would otherwise opt for a less complicated solution to this type of gameplay issue. This is CIG's sacred cow. A sacred cow, meaning something considered immune from question or criticism, especially unreasonably so. And this is where we come to the problem with elevators. In most games, elevators are a way for them to hide a loading screen. You enter a box, the door closes. While the player is unable to see anything, the world where they were just in is unloaded, and it loads the new location around them. And only when the load is fully complete do the doors of the elevator open to complete the illusion that they've just seamlessly moved from one location to the other. Perfect magic trick. Or an even simpler version of this illusion, if the game doesn't have the need to load anything new, once you enter an elevator, you select the floor and you're simply teleported to an identical elevator. And once the game has checked that everything is ready and the elevator music has played enough to complete the illusion, then the doors will open and you're free to leave safely. However, this solution is not acceptable for Star Citizen with their game design philosophy, because if the player is supposed to be physically moving towards that location, even if any loading trickery is entirely undetectable by the player within their shielded elevator, then it's not truly physically loading players seamlessly without a loading screen. Instead, what's actually happening in Star Citizen is elevators are physical set pieces that are in real time bussing players back and forth from pickup to destination. This means even though you can't see any of the scenery you're passing or what any players you may be passing are doing, they will still be loading that data to you. And your location and what you're doing will also be transmitted live to those players also, despite them never seeing you as well. This makes elevators extremely difficult to both code for and run consistently in the game, since the server is dealing with so many variables just to keep the players safe and unaware that they're being needlessly hurdled through a location, which is what results in all the game-breaking bugs we experience with them. A lot of the time an elevator can kill you or push you through the game world because it actually physically hit you after you called it, because a giant invisible box was ramming you through the wall mesh, which has been the frustrating norm in the New Babbage Hospital and vehicle garage for a long while. But because of this sacred cow of game design philosophy, despite it having no visible way of being detected by a player's experience other than elevators working correctly, CIGs still do not make the change. And it's not just elevators that are negatively affected by this rigid design philosophy and inability to kill that sacred cow, so to speak. There's more gameplay in Star Citizen that is also hindered. For instance, bunkers for a very long time have been a bit of a joke, a reflection of what first-person shooter gameplay is supposed to be like, without ever really being good enough to be considered fun gameplay. NPCs teleport around the map, bullets misfire, and commands get jumbled as a server tries to keep up.
Yeah, the server's just trying to keep. Here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. Like physics grid. We always talk about the physics grid. We need to do a deep dive into elevators and seriously do a video onto this, because like a lot of times I feel as if elevators aren't even an object container. You know, like everything isn't. We talked about OCS like moons ago, and we talked about the intricacies of OCS. And, you know, how many containers there actually are in the game, and how much memory it takes to load these motherfuckers up, and it takes a lot of work, and the servers to communicate it, and it's just a lot of information, right?
Excuse me.
So one thing I always think of when I have elevator issues is like, is this actually like an object container? Right? I've not had a lot of elevator issues. I know a lot of people do. I've had a few. And generally when I have elevator issues, it's like I open it up and it's just like open empty space. I've not had the elevator issue yet where it's just like black and not there.
I've gotten that one quite a few times.
I've always talked about the issues I've had with like physics, the physics grid itself.
Even when no player is inside the bunker and nobody can see it, nor can anything be affected by it, if you're above one of the planet's surfaces, it will still be loaded into the game, and so all the AI and physics will be actively controlled by the server's CPU and memory. And what's particularly egregious about this is all bunkers require you to take a long elevator to get inside of. They could easily have made it so once you get into the elevator, the planet loads out and you're put into a client-side hosted bunker map where the NPC AI is powered by your own PC.
I'm going to pause and respond to the video that DG's reacting. I'm glad they don't do that, because that essentially means it becomes an instance-based bunker, and if that's the case, anyone, I mean, the likelihood of someone being able to fly down to that location, come into that bunker and ambush you and or do the same mission as you, or for any numerous amounts of reasons, wouldn't be able to, see you. At that point, you're in your own private little bubble of space that cuts you off from the rest of the verse. So, and I'm sure he's going to talk about that, but the whole point is CIG wants to have one coherent universe.
Reducing the load on the server for you and everyone else that's no longer having to communicate all those calculations live back and forth. Not only would it help fix the experience inside of the bunkers, but all that CPU that's been freed up by having control of the NPC AI inside the bunker would then be applied to other NPCs throughout the verse that do require to be loaded in. No more moonwalking NPCs creeping you out, and more stability throughout the game in general. And at this point, you might be wondering, they must know about this. Why wouldn't they do something about it? Maybe this guy's missing something. Well, I can tell you why they have made it such a taboo to change. One of Star Citizen's major sale points is that they're doing the impossible. It's never been achieved before. And for the players and media, in the ways the game has already achieved that, with the ability to land on planets, enter buildings and ships without load, that's the reality for them now. But for a game developer, when you explain the technical scope of what you're attempting to do over a water cooler, the extremely impressive stuff to another developer is all those technical limitations that the player never sees. Because they spend countless hours of development time trying to come up with workarounds to get past technical or performance limitations that their games may have. And forever, elevators have been the simplest and most natural way to hide such limitations. So when you tell another dev,
should we slow-mo
we're having physicalized elevators that actually move throughout the game world in real time with the players inside them,
way down the list, though.
Incredible flex. That easily conveys the scope of your project's technological goals. It's a ballsy move to do something so much more complex than is needed to be, just to be able to continue to say you don't have loading screens. It's purely ego. Now, I understand that technically in the future, dynamic server meshing will allow for more computer power.
I don't think it's an ego as much as he's just trying to sweep things under the rug right now. It's not something I don't think is going to eventually be fixed. You know what I mean? Like, here's the thing with elevators. Like, how many of you think that the game's going to be successful if elevators are in their current state? I would hope that none of you would think that the game's going to be successful with elevators the way they are in their current state.
Absolutely.
Do we think that the elevators will eventually get fixed? Yes. Do we think that I do, right? Here's the other thing. Like, do we think that the NPC movements like this jank that we always see with the NPCs, do we think this is going to be fixed? Yes. Why?
Absolutely.
Because if they don't fix it, the game's not going to be successful. It's kind of like as simple as that for me. It's kind of clear cut for me. Whether or not we call it out or not, right? Like it's good to call it out. Let him call it out. That's great. I mean, like that. I feel like Dead Leader's relatively new to the experience of Star Citizen, maybe a year or so playing, and by new, I mean somebody who's been playing for a year or two. Maybe he's played longer. Apologies, Dead Leader, if you're watching this and you've actually played longer. But like these are all experiences we've all gone through, and yes, it's tedious, and yes, it drives me crazy that these things aren't fixed yet. But it's something that I think eventually is gonna be fixed. Why? Why do I think that? Because how in the fuck are they gonna make the game successful if they don't? Like, I mean, like, I'm sorry, that might be caveman thinking, but I'm gonna reduce it to its basic level, right? I don't think it's an ego thing. I think it's kind of like sweeping it under the rug thing. I think it's nothing that they want to talk about because it's something they're still trying to find solutions to. I think it relies heavily on the physics grid. I think it relies heavily on server meshing, and I think that's why you haven't seen
server tick rate
run seamlessly.
I mean, especially with the AI.
But like that's something that's kind of like for people that do the digging, we've known for years. I don't think it's like an ego thing. I think it's a technical development thing.
To hopefully be allocated to these systems to allow them to run much smoother than they do.
I don't know. That's like that. That's obviously Dead Leader's opinion. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that it's like an ego thing at all. I think it's a development thing.
Now, and so there's an argument to be made that if they made these changes now to make it run better, then it could be considered redundant, since they will be required to make these changes once again once server meshing is integrated. But this isn't just a matter of making the game more playable in the short term for the backers at all. If you're including overly and needlessly complex systems into the game in this alpha stage, which both hinder the ability to accurately test the game mechanics that you do need help with, since you need to use multiple elevators just to get inside of a ship before you can do anything in the game, you're also wasting dev time trying to constantly put updates out addressing the bugs caused.
Yeah, but like I think what Dead Leader doesn't understand is those things need to be there even if they're not working properly or functioning properly to bring the people in because they're necessary. I mean, like, you're not going to have a game that doesn't have these things because then you don't really have a game that people are going to enjoy. So like, yes, they're putting the cart before the horse. I understand that, but they're doing it to bring the people in, to grab the revenue, right? Hopefully the retention is there. And when server meshing is put out, which is going to take a long time. We just talked about this a couple videos ago. We all know server meshing is going to take a long time, right? We're hearing fourth quarter 2023. I don't think so. I think we're well into 2024 by the time we get any type of functioning server meshing. We all know this. This isn't like people who've been watching this and interested in the development of this in terms of game development know this, that it's been like this for a very, very long time.
There's always roadblocks.
Right? But it eventually is something that has to happen because if it doesn't, then the game's not going to be a game. It won't be successful, you know?
By this.
But they had to do this first because they need it. They need elevators to get people placed, even if they don't work some of the times because of server meshing, because of the physics.
Include physicalized elevators and bunkers after you have introduced dynamic server meshing.
No.
It would still...
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. That's okay. Dead Leader, that's okay, dude. And the only reason I'm saying that is because without that, there's no game loops. God forbid there's no game loops. If they actually went the correct order, like on a technical level, he is correct on a technical level, but it makes no sense to grab in revenue. On the money-making side of the business, it makes no sense because then you don't have bunkers, right? Then you don't have a way to get around certain areas that require elevators like ARC or like ArcCorp or Microtech or like everywhere that needs an elevator to get places. Then you don't have those things. Then it's not exciting. Then people aren't paying the money. If they did things correctly in a technical order, technically that would be great. But on a sales model, it's terrible. You're not bringing in any revenue because people can't go anywhere. Replace elevators with stairs. Could you imagine everything being stairs and no elevators, man? Like they've got to put the...
Sorry, I got a boss thing for real though. I'm just trying to imagine going down New Babbitt's Hap Tower, freaking 9 to 10 flights of stairs, and it would be a lot more than that. And you can imagine 50 plus people, just if everyone spawned there running up and down. Oof.
cart in front of the horse on this one. That's what I'm trying to say, and I hope that leader understands where I'm coming from. I understand his opinions. I don't agree with them.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
When Aether said, like, if we go back to Aether's comment, who's kissing the chat, he's saying, it's a disappointing video. He believes the design philosophy, which is driving the innovation of the game, and by that, I would even evolve that statement, Kiss, aka Aether Drift. I would even evolve that statement to say that he says his attitude is lazy and believes that the design philosophy, which is driving the innovation of the game, I would say not just driving the innovation of the game, I would say driving the revenue into the company. I would also say that. So I actually agree with you, Aether, on this. I'm agreeing with you on this, and I'm kind of disagreeing with the opinions here with Dead Leader, because in this instance, in order to bring the money in for the project to be supported financially, they have to put the cart in before the horse.
It'll be overkill and a waste of resources
See you, buds.
to work in,
Have a
my
good day
opinion.
at work, bro.
But at least theoretically, you should have the excess computer power to run it at that point. Being able to drastically improve the gameplay, testing process, and development now in the meantime is what's going to get the game along the finish line. It's what's going to get less people complaining. It's going to be better for marketing to get new players in the game.
On the concept of elevators and a lot of the issues that they've been having right now, one thing that has kind of always been a curiosity of mine is whether if the issues are something that are more client-side versus server-side issues. For those who are subscribed to the channel or watched several of our videos, you know that we have recently upgraded our main PC's CPU. We recently upgraded to the Ryzen 7 5800X3D chipset. And I, having previously been on the Ryzen 7 2700, noticed a large difference in issues that I had playing Star Citizen beforehand and after. Things ranging from UI bugs to interaction times to a whole host of different problems that stemmed from my CPU bottlenecking and potentially not getting information out fast enough and updated quick enough that these issues would happen. And I mean, yes, there's the whole physics and everything that go alongside it, but I'm curious how much of the issues could potentially be on the player side versus overall on the server, because just like DG said, apparently DG has never seen the black elevator of death. Well, personally I have, but since upgrading my CPU, I have yet to see that elevator of death appear. Now, obviously, I'll keep my eye out to see if that's the case in the future, but just a thought. Let me know what you think.
And look, I don't blame any particular developer.
And the reason why it wouldn't do that is because they wouldn't have the players they have now if they didn't have them in the game for people to get around, even though they're bugged out. The framework does have to be there, and then the technicals do come in this instance for many reasons. But the most important reason, in my opinion, is so that people can get somewhere, even though it's bugged net right now and it's relying heavily on server meshing in order to function correctly. The only reason why I'm very supportive of them doing this and putting the cart before the horse is because people still need to get around places. And even though it's bugged and doesn't work all the time correctly, right, because that tech isn't there, without those things, you don't have the money coming in, because instantly you don't have the means to get around anywhere or do anything or get those game loops, those tasty game loops that people...
I agree and disagree with your point on this, DG, at the second. Because... got some buffering going on. The reason why, like some of your community have jokingly mentioned, you know, and what we've seen, you know, look back, DG, look back at like early Star Citizen. Oh gosh, I'm not sure when they did the switch, but do you remember before when space stations and Lagrange points used to have a different layout? There weren't really all that many elevators, and I think they had maybe an elevator for, I mean, gosh, sorry, I'm just trying to remember when exactly, because I don't even think the cargo decks existed at this point. But back in the day, they had it to where everything was laid out to where you could just run to it. The Galleria, the food court, the stores were all laid out to where you could just run across the station and get to them. You didn't have to take an elevator. And that was fine and fun, for at least for me personally. Excuse me. Essentially, you know, the difference is that if they were to make it without elevators, it would just take more time. It would take more planning, but, you know, as we all know, CIG is trying to make things streamlined, as we can all agree. And with that innovation that comes to developing those tools, yeah, we're going to run into the hiccups, and I completely agree. It's like you're saying, with having the cart before the horse. It is better to have the cart that allows us to funnel us all in and experience what needs to be, even though movement may not be as steady without the horse guiding us. You know, the cart still has wheels and can still move so long as there's momentum. My two cents on the topic.
People want.
Or anyone that's worked on the game
Hence
for
the
this
alpha.
reason.
Hence the
With
alpha.
the company growing the way it has, from just a
and I hate
concept
saying
and
that,
a dream
but
to kind of
hence the
pull the
alpha.
impossible
Yes,
off.
absolutely.
Things
Hence the
like
alpha.
this could just become set in concrete early on, and just the rules by which...
And that's a very good point, DEFCON. DEFCON said something that Salty Mike touched on this morning. He's starting to feel like the marketing of Star Citizen is being placed above the development of the game.
Oh, absolutely.
And I don't think so much in this particular arena, DEFCON, but I will say that in terms of concept ships.
Yes, absolutely.
That's where I feel
sales,
marketing
absolutely.
the heaviest.
With sales,
I don't think the concept ships should be a thing. They can concept the fuck out of it if they want, but they shouldn't sell it until it's finished. And in terms of that, I actually agree with Salty Mike. But in terms of this, I would disagree with him, because I don't think it's so much a marketing ploy or intent.
Sorry for pausing yet again. I agree and disagree. I would I would rather have it that they can do concept sales only with the goal of having that ship out within 6 to 12 months. You know, and for a time there, CIG mentioned that that's what they had wished to do, but as we all know, that commitment only has really fallen for the smaller ships versus the large and capital ships. You know, capital ships are not going to see for a long time. And even with some of the large ones, looking at Nautilus, Perseus, Liberator, a whole slew of others, it's unfortunate.
Intended to be. It's just the way things are in order to get that revenue and capture that revenue. Okay, like it needs that money to survive financially. It's more than a marketing thing. It's an existence thing. It's like if they don't have the elevators that are buggy, then so many people won't pay for it, and it will be completely gaudy because people don't want to don't want to play anything where they can't get to anything, right?
Well, I mean, it's
So
a
at least
it's
them
a design
half-working
topic,
gets
you
to a
know.
place that you
I
need
get
to go
what you're
to
saying,
some
but
of the time
it
rather
comes
than never
down to
going
design.
if you follow me.
You are set to develop things, and it's not really
But
possible
I get what
for
you're
any
saying,
one
man.
person to change this without an entire company-wide decision to make changes to the way the game is developed. I just think ultimately they should really look at
Server
what
meshing, server
things
meshing, server
are
meshing.
done because of this
Indeed.
sacred cow,
Physics.
and in which instances realistically
Object
would it
daters.
benefit them and us to kill it. My name's Dead Leader. I'll see you in the verse.
Interesting angle. Interesting angle. I don't agree with all of it. What's it got here?
I agree. I didn't agree with most of it.
Space. It's cold and it's lonely. But you don't need to be with Dead Leader merchandise.
Oh no, he's shilling. Everybody's got to do it, I guess, except me.
No, I'm right there with you, man.
All right, let's get back to the show.
All right, let's. Well, that was our slew of videos for tonight. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give us a like. Please, if you can, subscribe to our channel. We're going to be trying to pump out more content like this, as well as our live stream videos, which, by the way, tomorrow we are going to be hosting a live stream org event with UGIS, the org that I run, and we'll be checking out PTU 318 as well as 317.5, getting in a whole slew of trouble and having a bunch of fun. With that being said, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you enjoyed our videos that we covered today, and until next time, thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you soon. Have a good one. Peace.